All right, welcome back to the Warrior Servant Leader podcast. We're so happy you're joining us today. We have a great guest, Jay Levin. Jay's the founder and chair of the Equip Our Kids campaign. And I know he's going to be modest about this, but I'm telling you, he is a media pioneer. He's the founder and former CEO and editor-in-chief of multiple award-winning publications and the greatly successful LA Weekly newspaper, which he sold some years ago. And since then, he's focused on three areas of activity: starting, growing, or saving media properties that have social value, investing his time, talent, and energy in nonprofit organizations, of which he has launched 6 of his own, covering poverty and hunger, job and community economics, development, human rights, and in education, which is the one we're going to kind of really concentrate on today. He launched Equip Our Kids campaign and the California Social Emotional Learning Alliance, which has a stunning number of 4,500 educator members. And if that wasn't enough, he's also served as on advisory boards of other nonprofit groups. As a successful life and executive coach for 20 years, based on his own lifelong interest in human development, he is trained as a practitioner, including a master's degree program in spiritual psychology. Jay believes the same inner and outer world management skills that constitute adult social and emotional learning are even far more effective with and more easily adopted by kids. And that is the Equip Our Kids campaign. I think that's their primary mission and vision. And Jay, welcome to the show. Man, this is going to be exciting because so little is spent on concrete, creative, future-looking programs involving children in our digital world that it's turning into. But if we can start so everybody understands what is social emotional learning.
So, social emotional learning, and thank you, Pat, for the opportunity to talk about this and to share with a wider public. So, social emotional learning is, if you imagine what skills in terms of managing your emotional life, and what skills in managing your relationship life with other human beings would most benefit humanity, right? Do you want to be in a situation where you're on your own case all the time? You're thinking you're not good enough, or your emotions are overwhelming you and you're acting out and you're creating conflict with other human beings? Or you want to be able to have really wonderful, peaceful, mutually supportive relationships with other human beings? So the species has been around, human species, we've been around for endless eons. And all those eons, if you look at human history, except for small pockets, create wars, create genocides, right up to today. Not only that, but right up to today, we've capped it in 2 ways. We have the nuclear weapons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which are machinery, which is machinery reading machinery, and we have a way of being in the world where we seem to be capable of killing off a lot of other species, raising temperatures that look like they're heading for 140 degrees, etc. So we have reasons to look at how we're behaving in this world and how we're operating in terms of our own reactiveness to things in the world and the way we relate to each other. So along comes the wisdom of the human species and says, we have developed ways of learning to be with each other and ways of managing our reactive emotional bodies that create better results. They're more likely to create a sense of your own self-worth rather than a critic in your mind, that are more likely to create a sense of feeling healthy, loving relationships with other people that are mutually beneficial rather than me against you relationships, etc. So, social emotional learning is a name that's been given by the academics and by child psychologists and by kind of the best minds on the planet in terms of all the inner dynamic and relational dynamics that are necessary. So it's a boring academic word for a set of skills, social emotional learning. It's being replaced by businesses call it soft skills. Others call it, in the child of the world, whole life development, character development, social emotional competency, social emotional health, whatever it is, all the stuff you rush to therapists to get healed, and or
Yeah.
don't get healed, and therefore you start shooting each other, or you act out crime and create crime, or you're in kids in schools that are where it has gang warfares and drugs and all that stuff. Virtually all of human pain and comes from a lack of these skills. When you have these skills, and this proof, the proof of the pudding is what happens. You take a school that's really, really full of violence, acting out behavior, kids fighting each other all the time. Very popular among girls, beating each other up in a lot of more poverty schools.
Hmm.
Girls fighting girls even more than the boys are fighting girls in the real world. And then you bring in these programs and you retrain the kids, and you get the most amazing kids. I mean, you can see some of those in the media on our website, equip our kid, ourkids.org. The first video there is gonna, blow your mind because, oh, hey, these kids came from those kind of backgrounds, and look where they are now in terms of their humanity skills and their self-confidence and their ways they get along with each other and the great stuff they're doing by getting along with each other rather than by fighting. So there's a major underlying premise, psychological premise, that I came to believe in after studying, being as a journalist, following the human development movement, the adult human development movement. And that's a belief based on real facts and real evidence that almost all human pain is caused by a lack of these skills: conflict, pain, self-worth, a lot of negative healthy behavior, drug addiction, you name it, really comes from an emotional sensibility and a lack of skills to know how to get along, do your own emotional body in better ways, and do your life in better ways with others. It's a skill set. It's not something woo-woo. It's not something off the charts. It's, what do you rush to a therapist with for? Get your head straightened out about your trauma life. And then maybe if there's good therapists, learn some skills to deal with others. For adults, the nonviolent communication movement became very popular, starting back in the 50s. All the Think and Grow Rich books, all those things, all stem from the same thing. You have no idea how generation to generation you're passing along of belief systems, modeled behaviors, energy fields, ways of modeling non-collaboration that you think are endemic and natural, and in fact they are simply a training of being in the world and dealing with yourself in a way that's inadequate and ultimately leads to conflict, ultimately leads to not cooperating with each other, all the misery that happens in companies where this one is, we maltreated, all the lack of feeling safe in the world because there's so much crime and violence, and it's me against you, and all the racism, etc. It's because you're trained to think you're alone, and your tribe has got to be the winner, and you have to win in life. And the winning in life is to make sure you're one up, not one down. And out of that results the entire culture in the world. And out of that results nuclear weapons, genocide, you name it, all the wars, generation after generation, nonstop. So either we retrain ourselves or we go on maybe to blow ourselves up. But the social emotional learning, whether you like that name a lot, is really just a lot of skills training that everybody needs, whatever you want to call it. Businesses like soft skills, whole child development. You can call it anything you want.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, either we do it or we don't do it. And if you want a better world, you better get on it.
Yeah. Wow.
Better get
That's
yourself and make sure our kids are retrained, because it's the easiest thing in the world is to retrain the kids before they have millions of neural net cells in their brain operating on the old me against you system and my good enough system.
wow. Yeah. A couple of things, man, I'm taking notes as we're talking and I'm going, man, in our era, you and I, we called it anger management. We called it self-control.
Right.
I remember reading a book back in it was in the 70s. Hung by the Tongue was the name of the book. You know how your tongue will get you in trouble. So,
Right.
think before you talk.
Right.
All those kinds of things. I'm pretty sure you were on the Zoom call that we had a few months ago with the group that we belong to, Metal Men, with Robin Dreek, the guy, the human behavior guy from the FBI.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and man, one of the things he kind of encapsulated just in 4 words, I think, what the whole concept you're talking about in SEL, this social emotional learning, is what every human being wants is safety, security, prosperity, and control. That's what they want, but
Right.
what they need is the skill set how to do that,
Right.
and without dominating over this us versus them, that my safety,
Right.
security, prosperity, and control is more important than yours, and that back and forth tension. And I remember Vince Lombardi's famous quote. It was, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. And when we have that mindset, we get into the us versus them, or you get into the toxic work environment,
For sure. For
and
sure.
or you get the kids whose first reaction to that stressor of that is affecting their perception of their safety, their security,
Right. Yeah.
their prosperity, their control. Their first reaction is, you know, for us, I guess as kids, it was a fist fight, but now it's pulling out a gun or
Right.
something, or a gang, thrashing of someone.
Or just trashing you emotionally on TikTok,
Yeah, yeah,
on social media,
yeah, and
making you wrong, putting
how
you
much
down.
we learned from in the law enforcement world. How long did it take us, decades, to understand and embrace the battered women syndrome,
Uh-huh.
or to embrace gaslighting, or whatever it's called. This, I think it's still called gaslighting, but all those things. So, how do we go about, and how are you guys, particularly with kids, going about getting them to reframe their worldview, their outlook and perception of what they want in life, and pair that with positive skill sets to help them
So,
get there?
so in terms of my personal role, the I here that you asked about. Um, I'm a media guy, you know. I have skills in media and skills in um, providing information to people that they value in a way that they find comfortable and rewarding, right?
Hmm.
That's my skill as a media person, right? And to take them into places and provide knowledge that they appreciate and enjoy and learn from. Okay? So I don't go into schools and train kids on how to do this. The teachers are supposed to train kids in this let's just call it social emotional learning for now, or people
Yeah.
can just say uh, healthy life skills. Okay,
So how are you
so
educating? How are you educating the teachers to educate the kid? Not you
right,
personally, but your
right,
campaign or in the bigger picture.
right.
How how
So
do how
here's
do we do that?
the history of the movement is the programs and thinking about it was first developed by a combination of academic people who are understood education, child psychologists who understood the nature of emotional life and emotional reactiveness and behavior forms,
Hmm.
um, and a group of wise people who have been educated and understood that um, we need it's so important to human development, to child development, to train them to be able to be actually open to learning in the world rather than going to schools and being reactive and carrying out the usual stuff, right?
Hmm.
So this went back to these programs in the 50s. By the late 90s, the first major organization came together to evaluate and look at the programs that had been developed by educators and child development people in doing this. So some of it came out of the adult world, the uh, of nonviolent communications. How do you talk to another human being? Modeled down to children, right? So programs began to be developed, and then an organization in Chicago was formed called Collaborative for Academic and Social Emotional Learning, was the name they gave it. And the first things they did was, uh, start talking to other educators around and about these, been looking, and then fairly rapidly moved to, if they were going to get this in schools and get money out of it, they had to have testing. So encouraging groups to raise money. I don't know if they helped raise the money to get who had niches in schools or niches with kids to get outside evaluators to come in and do independent studies on the effectiveness of this. And when they did, what they found was that grades went up, bad behaviors, discipline interests went way down. Over time, as they developed it out more and more, and schools started doing it, um, and districts began, or even states began to test these more. There was some money coming in for a lot more for testing. Not a lot. It didn't expand rapidly across America, but like in California here, um, the state I think put a bunch of years ago put together about $80 million and picked focus schools around the state to really infuse this in. So one of them, what we know about the school, an elementary school in the poverty area of LA, a lot of gang stuff, just even elementary, but a lot of fighting, stuff like that. They had something like 260 discipline incidents, a lot of fighting, a lot of kids having to be exonerated, some kids going into juvie, even in elementary school levels. Um, before the programs were there, the classic um, poverty school model, low performance, high discipline rates, low academic performance. 3 years later, they were down to 14 from 260 to 14 discipline incidents. The academics were at the level of the best schools in the district, just as one example. So, and then the state began to look at other schools that were having these successes, and then began to think about, okay, how do we develop this out? At the same time that was happening across the country, other school districts began experimenting with this and getting similar results. So there was more and more sense through Cassell and their, district by district, moving along slowly, that this was happening, and more state education departments began looking into it. More districts began looking into it, but still at a very slow pace. The pace got accelerated about 15, 18 years ago, when a guy a lawyer in Massachusetts thought, learned about these programs, found it wasn't in schools, and wanted it for his grandchildren. So, I'd like this in the schools for our grandchildren. And he realized there was very little happening to mobilize support from it in the education community, in the funding community, et cetera. So he organized an event in the state capitol, a weekend event in which he brought in some of the leaders of the movement and invited educators around the state to come to that, and invited some legislators to attend that. But it was basically, I think, a couple of days event of speakers talking about social emotional learning. And once he had them in the room, he then formed an organization where he got educators and program providers to join something he called the Massachusetts Social Emotional Learning Alliance. And then they started lobbying at the state level and getting real good results out of that. And then we started developing other organizations, modeling it for other organizations. So around that, Connecticut, Jersey, New York, began developing similar organizations. I found out about it like early on, so that would have been about 8-9 years ago. And I had them, Mitch, his name is Mitch Lyons, and his executive director, mentor me in how to organize it in California. I'd already started the Equip Our Kids campaign, but as an activist in a number of other, especially anti-poverty movements and money politics movements, I had, had some experience knowing that media, us doing media for public awareness, needed boots on the ground to respond. So we created, so I had them mentor me, and we created the California Alliance. I did. And I ran it for a year and a half, and I thought, I can't run two organizations. And that didn't seem to merge very well, because one is dealing with educators day in and day out, making sure they're active. And I didn't have the time to do that and run the media campaign and the parent awareness campaign at the same time. So I basically asked God, send me somebody great who can run this. And that's how Amy Cranston came into my life, and she's done a fantastic job. Now, it's up to 5,000 members now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
And they've been very successful about organizing educators to get districts paying attention to this, get the state education department involved, get the the legislator and the governor's office behind this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the history of it
Oh,
on the rollout. The other stuff is what's happening in the schools and what's happening now, what the long-term results are and the benefits and what needs to be done now.
so I know a lot of people they glaze over when they start hearing uh, the government being involved or the
Hmm.
political or yeah,
Right.
there's so much anger and animosity. It seems teachers unions and all those external things that
Absolutely.
take the focus take the focus off of kids. What can be done? And I think that avenue because the educators are the ones that are having the most consistent contact for at least 9 months of the year, 5 days a week, with our kids. But what are some non-traditional education settings where your same concepts of developing these social and emotional skills can be
Well,
reinforcing?
the major one, yeah. So, well, the major ones is happening in the adult world. The people are rushing off to join organizations like Mindspring and others, or go to group therapy or get themselves trained. The bigger push now is because the workplaces are so dramatic now. 51% of Americans are looking for another job. Mental health crisis has hit the workforces. There's always conflict in workforces, et cetera. So a lot of companies are moving into the space of adult social emotional learning without calling it that. You know, they're bringing in trainers who teach um, the skills to get along, the things to solve problems, the things to be more creative in problem solving, the things about working collaboratively, the skills to work collaboratively rather than me against you and I've got to climb the ladder ahead of you. All that
Hmm.
thinking, me, you know. So they're trying to create healthier cultures. Warner Brothers is now on the market. They did it just the last year and a half, 2 years. I happen to know that because we had a conversation with them. But many companies have been doing that. Uh, the Some of it came out of the DEI world. Some of it came out of um, the women's movement, breaking the glass ceiling movement. You've got to get people in there that the way men are treating women and the climatic climbing. I mean, we're going back some years now. Um, so we're getting a lot of energy in our companies around conflict and unhappiness and people wanting to bail out rather than coherence and staying here. And what's a model of our leadership? So the idea of servant leadership came on, and many CEOs started taking training in servant leadership.
Hmm.
So the idea that human development practices, the human development movement, the Tony Robbins stuff, all the things we're very familiar with, um, as for adult development, has been a factor in training a fair amount of Americans in a better way to be with each other, and a better way to deal with their own emotional lives.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Uh,
But getting back to the kids,
right.
kids aren't going to Tony Robbins and a lot of, and I get that. I mean, I got trained in 2013 by John Maxwell himself, kind of deal. So
Uh-huh.
I understand the adult thing. But coming out of the law enforcement arena, that so many nobody calls the police because they're having a really good day and want you to stop by
Right.
and have a cup of coffee. Yeah, we're,
Mm.
we're walking into those family conflicts, neighbor conflicts, the drug and all that kind of stuff. And how can we? Let me just throw it out there. So we had in Dayton, Ohio, we had an adult-oriented, gang-oriented initiative to reduce homicides, gang-related homicides, and I got put in charge of it. And in 4 years that I was there, my last 4 years on the department, I was in charge of this program, and we reduced gang-related murders by 64%. And it
Fantastic.
and it was not a punishment approach to. It was a very comprehensive of law enforcement had its niche of holding people accountable, and particularly gang members on probation and parole. That was the path we took. But the vast majority of our time, effort, and talents was in conjunction with social services in the community, both NGOs as well as government social services, and some other avenues to get people, the adult world, to change how they were thinking about their place in society and their obligation, if you will, to be law-abiding citizens, kind of deal. And then after 2 years of that, and we were being successful, the juvenile court judges said, "Hey, we want this same initiative brought into the juvenile justice system." And so we crafted a similar type program that was concentrated less on the stick and more on the carrot of identifying your excuses and reasons for being involved in gang activity, being involved in violence, those kinds of stuff. And we put 120 kids through that in 2 years, and 80% of them didn't even have any recidivism in skipping school, because we changed through a multi-prong approach, changed how they think, because how you think is how you develop your attitude. Your attitudes are displayed in behaviors. Repeated behaviors become habits. Habits become what is expected and accepted way of living your life. And so how can we take the equipping kids dynamics that you're in campaign and go into law enforcement, go into faith-based groups, go into Kiwanis clubs, go other places where, so that it's not just all on the shoulders of the educators being responsible, so to speak, for helping kids change how they think and how they behave. So are you guys addressing that through the campaign, or how can we help you? How can we, like all those people I just said, how can we help you in your mission and vision?
Well, clearly we're addressing it, because that's why we opened this whole conversation. So let's deal with the police first, because that's so much fun. Okay. So remember Scared Straight?
Yeah.
That didn't work too well.
Yeah. Because it was punishment oriented.
It was punishment oriented, yes. So if the cops were really trained, if all police authorities were really trained and allowed to and supportive of putting these programs in the schools, then they would work with the teachers unions and the whoever it is and the school districts in conjunction, and lobby for, hey, of course we want money for police, but we also want you to fund less juvenile delinquency, more behavior. So they'd be going to using all their powers, the police powers, to say to legislators and districts and whoever's got the power or the purse, we want you to be funding this education for the kids, because we know it's going to make a huge difference. They don't know it's going to make a huge difference because they haven't been well educated in it. We want, part of our reach out to you was we want to get police involved in this. Equip Our Kids considers itself an activating organization for the stuff that can't be done, and let's link you up with all the grassroots organizations. There's now 28 state alliances that with tens of thousands of educators now. So why shouldn't you be working together,
Yeah.
police agencies, et cetera? And, it doesn't hurt for cops to be trained in this as well, because when you go into a conflict resolution situation with, you work into a household, you want to be able to lower the temperature
Hmm.
rather than raise the temperature. So you would think it'd be preventative medicine to be able to have nonviolent communication training up from the bottom of your toes up to the top of your head, so that it was automatic. How
Yeah.
you related to yourself and how you related to people who were stressed out, acting out, can't hear you, emotionally involved in some negative way.
Or
So
even, or that are even at risk. I think I told you the story.
totally at risk. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
the at-risk kids. Why wouldn't you be going to those
Yeah.
schools and districts and say, we support the training? Maybe
And
train up a bunch of your cops to go in and say, we'll help come in and do some training for you, rather than in groups around this and that, so we can add to what the teachers are learning.
yeah.
That would
And
be that would be crime prevention rather than crime punishment.
well, and it's also, virtually on every cruiser in the country, it says protect and serve. Uh, and it would be a service, a servant thing. And this is not a foreign concept to law enforcement. Is And I shared this story with you offline,
Yeah.
that way back when, there was a police officer that took a 9-year-old kid that was at risk off the street. His name was Cassius Clay, and they introduced him to the Police Athletic League boxing program. And the difference it made in that kid's life, everybody in the world knows Cassius Clay.
Great
Everybody,
story.
because his name is Muhammad Ali. He
Right.
changed his name, but that was because a police officer who was part of which is the Police Athletic League, is a national organization. I was the president of the Dayton Police PAL for a few years. Is to So it's not foreign to police officers that, whether it's on their extra duty time, their own time, if you will, or if there's an actual program that's your assigned duties. If you're an SRO, a school resource officer, to get familiar with this whole social emotional learning concept and the skill sets you need to help kids that you are encountering. And we're teaching cops. We have a grant here in Colorado, and I was one of the instructors that we were teaching every single police officer for free, was getting had the opportunity to take a course, an 8-hour class, did not cost the agency a penny. It was all grant funded, of how to interact with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, the neurodiverse, including kids. They're on the autism spectrum. They have cerebral palsy. They have whatever. 85% of disabilities are hidden, and you think they're being disrespectful and whatnot to you, but in reality, they're neurodiverse. And they're not trying to be a jerk. How do you lower that temperature and avoid going hands on, and then ending up putting a kid into the juvenile justice system that really needs to be in a treatment system because they would never been identified or diagnosed.
Right.
So those things are out there, and and the Kiwanis Club and all sorts of other 501c3 organizations are out there. And so if in our audience that's listening, man, you want to learn more about this, you want to become a part of it, you may even come from a family that has kids that have those anger management issues,
Mm.
and you don't want them getting hurt at school. You don't want them being arrested because they don't know how to interact with law enforcement or with other kids or other adults. Absolutely. Uh, with 28, I don't want you to, I guess, rattle off all 28 states, but do me a favor, send me an email with the states that have these alliances, so that if our listeners are living in those states, they can reach out and go, hey,
Okay.
I want to help.
Well, that's great. Yeah, everybody can find those states with this URL. SEL, social emotional, the letters SEL, the numeral 4, US.org. That's our central office for the movement, and you
Okay.
find all the states listed there, and you can find if there's an organization in your state, and if there's not one, you want to help form one, you just contact SEL for US people, the leadership. SEL numeral 4 US.org.
Awesome.
So
Um,
that's a way to get into that movement. And that's a great offer for the
yeah.
movement. Thank you.
So, are you guys already involved with, or is a part of your mission and vision from both the alliances and from the standpoint
Hmm.
of your kids, equip our kids? Is there a specialty component for neurodiverse kids that are in one of those categories of a disability that affects their emotional or physical, well-being?
Well, the neurodiverse people tend to be members of the associations as well, especially teachers in that category, because the some of the programs work with neurodiverse kids. Some of the trainings work with neurodiverse kids. Depends on the kids. Depends on the situation. Depends on the programs. But the funding needs for the schools are similar, right? So we're in those states, the neurodiverse people and the SEL people working together. That's you know exactly as it should be. The bigger source right now, the need right now is the business community, the corporate community, right? They're absent
Okay.
without leave. They're stupidly absent without leave. There's a few companies like Allstate have gotten involved, Google, et cetera, put some money in. But overall, the crying need for the businesses in this culture at this point is um, much better adjusted employers, much more who retain and much healthier cultures, right?
Hmm.
The corporate world 15 years ago got behind STEM, science, technology, and math,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they put $1.2 billion in. They formed their own associations. They worked collectively and individually, and they made it happen. The wisdom of the time says the business community needs to do that again for social emotional learning. But they've been ignorant of it to some degree, scared off by hard right wing media in the country, and false presentations about it to some degree. And being absorbed with other functions of it, including the DEI functions. But SEL is not DEI. It teaches kids to get along great with each other, right? Not
Yeah.
to be one up with each other, right? Not I'm going to specialize you. And anybody goes to our website and watches the first video, you're going to have a life change. You can have a life change from that. Oh my God, this is what can be with. Yeah, we need it. We need to get. We gotta create a full generation of these kids.
Yeah.
So
Give me that.
our,
Give me the website again that has the video that you're talking about.
it is the word equip, EQUIP, our, O-U-R, kids, KIDS, .org, meaning we're a nonprofit, equipourkids.org. Just go watch the first video on it and you'll get it. You get what this is about and why it's like, let's get this in every school to every kid. We gotta roll out a whole generation of kids like this, right? And
Yeah.
the business community absolutely needs to step up now and start and get behind this. So our work now is really pivoted. What we do, aside from the media, I mean, we focus on parents first and parent buy-in. So we helped take parent buy-in and knowledge from 5% to about 80% now. 92% if you don't call it social emotional learning, 88%, 92% for Democrats. If you just list the skills, 88% for Republicans. But because of the brainwashing, those numbers go down if you call it social emotional learning. But we got to get over that, change the name, it doesn't matter. The skills are what matter, whatever you want to call them. So business like soft skills, great. Let's call them school essential soft skills training, life soft skills training. But the business community has to step up. So what we've done to make that happen, we've created a council of business, some business leaders who face it that I know. And we started training the boots on the ground. I mean, the people who can really spread the message about this, which is the State Alliance members, thousands of educators across the country now. So we started training now. We did our first training of leaders just last month and had from experts, business experts, people who run companies, are on boards of major companies, et cetera, who gave training, 3 different trainings. One in how to deal with the local merchants in your communities and get them behind it. Why get behind it now is so essential because this federal government has cut the money out of it. Biden surged the money in to deal with the COVID. Made a huge difference across the country. So because they thought we don't have enough psychiatrists to deal with the mental health crisis kids are coming back with. So we got to train them to self-regulate so they don't act out like they're acting out like crazy. We got to train them. Now they're alienated from their peers. We got to train them to relate healthy ways to their peers. And this had a big effect across the country. And now that, LAUSD produced out of this the highest academic scores they've ever had. But at the same time, now that with that happening across the country, millions of kids are not going to get this training. So we need the business community to step into this and make it happen, lobby for it, get it. So the training we're giving the kids is go to your local merchants, get them to lobby for it, get them in the interim to sponsor programs, buy programs for the schools. Go to your chambers of commerce and learn how to deal with them in your Rotary clubs. And then here's how to deal with the major corporations, organize discovery meetings with groups of your people, who to do it with, et cetera. So we got an enormously positive response from these trainings from the leaderships of these organizations. We just made a video of their overwhelming enthusiastic response to this. So now we're mobilizing them. We'll be doing more trainings for that. As Equip Our Kids, at the same time, we're doing media. We're trying to get our spots on working to get our spots on streaming services. We're working to reactivate the parents we activated personally originally to get it in their schools. We're working in that direction. So you got to go back to your legislators now. You got to go back to and say, no matter what, you got to fund this and lobby on your Congress people to get this funded, no matter what's coming out of the federal government. You need to be a voice that you want your children to have this. So
Okay.
that's our work in the world. You know, mobilizing support is equip our kids' work and educating people about the value of this education for all of us, for a healthier economy, for less crime, for less drug addiction, for less overall conflict in the culture, and much more,
Yeah.
much healthier companies and much healthier economy. Yeah,
Well, and even healthier families. If kids,
yeah,
if
definitely healthier.
if kids get these skill sets going, that's the all the drama and parents don't like getting called to the principal's office or having their kid suspended from school and all those kinds of things. So I mean, it's a circular. It's not just a linear kind of improvement. It affects a whole lot of society. I mean,
Absolutely.
every aspect of it. Well, so we got, and I'll include these websites and stuff. Any final kind of insights? I mean, if there was one mantra that you wanted listeners to walk away with and be energized by,
Mhm.
share
Okay.
it.
So, do you know who your listeners tend to be?
Well, you know what? We're on 6 continents, a dozen countries, and
Oh, really?
we have, it's the whole spectrum. We have a young guy in Pakistan, a Roman Catholic guy that has in his like in-home church services because they don't have access to a traditional
Uh,
Catholic church. So we have the whole spectrum in all sorts of countries. So I can't give you the demographics specifically, but it is a broad group of people from all
right.
walks of life. So
All right. So, in every walk of life, it behooves us all to feel better about ourselves and to find that we're 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 doing things in the world that work better for us, and how we're behaving, and they're really working for us. And it behooves us to be in the communities where everybody's got is doing the same with each other, getting along with, knowing how to get along with each other, and therefore figuring out how to solve the remaining problems together, collect collaboratively, because with goodwill and good intention and lovingness, and and say this is working, let's do it. Humanity has to find its way to that personal and collegial way of being in the world, and it's a skill set. So the message is, um, find the skill sets, find the ways to get your own skills up in better
yeah,
ways. So you're thinking differently and you're acting differently, and support this movement. Come to us and support us. All the money we get in, we run on a very low budget with a lot of volunteers, but there's a lot more we could do with more dollars. Um, so find a way to support us. We have a list of ways you can support things in your communities and how to go about it. Uh, be a voice for uh, retraining humanity in the ways that we get along. We like ourselves better, love ourselves better,
yeah.
act better in the world, and live in a culture that has the skills to know how to get along with each other. It's very simple.
That's
It's a skill. It's
yeah.
a skill set.
It is, and
Not that thinking.
it really goes along with our whole premise here at the Warrior Servant Leader podcast
Yeah.
is that warrior mindset of stand up, show up, and defend what you believe. And if you believe in your kids, you believe in a better community, you believe in a more peaceful community, then stand up, show up, and defend that, and put the wants and needs of others before your own. Is that servant mindset and that leadership. Be a person of influence and impact. And this topic of social emotional learning, particularly, I mean, in the workplace, in the adult world, in your home, and for our kids, is one of the most foundational things
Mhm.
that will literally change our communities and worlds. So I think the call to action to all our listeners is jump on equipourkids.org, watch that video, and get inspired, get energized, and then do what I always tell at the end of every one of our episodes is do the right thing at the right time, the right way, and for the right reasons. So, Jay, man, it's been awesome having you on. I'd like to have you back, and maybe we can talk about some success stories.
Oh, I would love to.
Yeah, share. I mean, from if they're adults and can be, we could have more than one guest. We can have several people on with you, and they can tell their
That would be
success
great. I
stories.
can bring you wonderful people to talk about
Yeah,
this.
well, we should.
May I make one more comment? One
Yeah,
final comment?
absolutely, absolutely.
If you believe human nature is expressed in violence and wars, and there's nothing that can be done about it, if you think it's just the way humanity is, you're wrong. It's not the way humanity is. It's the way humanity is trained to be. You can be trained to be different kind of people. You'll see it on our website. And look for that training in your own life. Start with, if you're an adult, see if you can get a nonviolent communication trainer as an easy way to step into this world, someone around you in your community. But don't hang on to the idea, these are the bad guys, we're the good guys, or et cetera, and never the train would meet, and humanity it's always going to be the same. It ain't true.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. Jay, thanks for having a great informative conversation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and again, people can reach out to you at equipourkids.org. And if they're interested in the from an alliance, is there one available in their state? Or if not, they can try and help start one. The SEL number 4 US.org. People, listeners, go out there and get involved. And really, I want to thank the listeners too. We're growing and growing. We topped over 3,400 downloads as of this morning. 6 continents, over a dozen countries. Please like, comment, share with your friends that need to hear the Warrior Servant Leader message. If you want to learn more or have a free 30-minute consultation on the Warrior Servant Leader mindset, you can do that. Reach out to me on LinkedIn at Pat Wells JD, or just jump on our website, the Warrior Servant Leader podcast.com. And remember, always do the right thing at the right time, the right way, and for the right reasons, and embrace your journey as a warrior servant leader. Jay, thanks for being with us, everybody. Appreciate you being here. And until
If
next
I
week.
may,
Go ahead.
if people want to reach us, it's contact@equipourkids.org. Contact@equipourkids.org if you want to, for some reason, want to reach us directly. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I apologize. I didn't ask you for that. So, lesson learned. I'm growing. All right, everybody.
I'm very grateful for your growingness.
Love y'all, and see you next week.
Okay.